Hey, welcome to another episode of Random Thoughts of Madmen. I'm Eric, this is Tristan, Dylan, and what are we going to talk about today? Let's see. I think we're going to talk about Trump and the whole impeachment deal.
Yeah.
Y'all have been keeping up. They're trying to impeach Trump out of office in his last year over some Biden Ukraine talk and the text and all this.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's a bunch of BS. It seems to me the only reason they're doing this is so he can't get reelected. They're afraid he's going to get reelected, so they're going to impeach him just so he can't do it, which is a bunch of bull to me.
I
But
mean, pretty much the government's been shady ever since, I don't know, since I was born. But I'm pretty sure before then they've been shady too, and I really don't think there's a really good side to any of it. I think Republicans and Democrats are both, they do what they want to do to make what,
I
they want better.
I honestly think they all argued the same way. I think that it's just based on I don't know. They have very little and different. They have different opinions, but they argued the exact same way. Does that make it? That makes sense. Like they belittle the other person for arguing that way, and then like a month later they do that same thing. So like an example would be uh, the gun debate. It's like if we make them illegal, people will just buy them illegally, and that's what our fight is to that. And then now we're making e-cigs illegal, and they're like, well, we're just gonna do it illegally. So they're saying the same things, just about different things. That makes sense.
Just like the whole alcohol prohibition, when they outlawed alcohol, people still made moonshine.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
speakeasies.
exactly, and they knew about it, and yet they pretended to go, get people, but they let people do it. They're always going to find a way to get something. Where you make guns illegal, people are going to get guns. Drugs have been illegal for how long? People are going to do drugs. This is how it is.
I mean, my whole thing on the whole Trump thing is like, he's made it this far as our president, and now all of a sudden, at the very last year, it's coming up that they want to impeach him over some texts that were sent.
The
That
whole,
They weren't even bad texts. They were just saying like a regular conversation back and forth.
Like, I remember when he first got elected, the Democrats were trying to say that Russia was all up in our voting system, which, I mean, that may be the case. I don't know truly, the governments do what they want to do, but who's to say that didn't happen with Obama and Bush and everything on? Like, who's to say the world isn't just playing the United States? We're over here thinking that we're Big Brother, but
what I got out of the whole Ukraine deal was, sorry, was that Trump was trying to get Ukraine to investigate Biden, and that's illegal, apparently. Don't ask me what for, but that's what I got out of it, which is the biggest thing, BS thing they could do to try to get him out of office. Now they're like wanting his tax returns. How long have they been wanting this guy's tax returns?
I don't
It's
know.
been going on for years since he got elected. I mean, before that,
Yeah.
who cares what his tax returns are? If he has to show his, I'm all
Yeah.
for making all of them show their tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make all the Senate, make all these people that are like multimillionaires now, show us your tax returns since you've been in office, and let's see where all your money's coming from.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that for a second. How our uh, House of Representatives, they don't have a term. It's just they're always there until they die.
Well, if they get elected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
see, I think that's going to be us. Like, how are we going to have someone run the country for only 4 years? But then we got these people who have been elected for 40 plus years if they make it that long.
When George Washington was president, they wanted to make him king, but he said one person didn't deserve that much power. And then they wanted to give him a third term too, and he didn't want to do it. He said 2 terms was the max he thought was for a president. Well, I
Well,
think that's a
yeah.
good idea.
I mean, I just think everything needs to have a term to it. Like, if our president has a term, I think all the houses, the Senate, I think that all needs to have terms.
I agree with you 100%.
Like,
How long was
'cause-
what was that guy that died that was a prisoner of war? He was in the Hanoi Hilton.
no idea.
He just died a couple of years ago. Anyway, he was in he was in the Senate. McCain, that's who it was.
Yeah.
He was in the Senate for like 30, 40 years, however long. It was a long time he was
Yeah.
in there.
See,
There's
and
a lot
I-
of people that have been there forever.
And I think with having no terms on a lot of things brings a lot of conspiracy behind it, because you have these people who are in the Senate or the House for so long, and they kind of get groomed over time to become the president, and then they get to throw out who they want. And I just think I don't know, I think it's a lot of controversial stuff behind it because you got new presidents coming in all the time, but then you have the same elderly people stuck in their ways wanting everything to be run their way because they've been there for so long.
Exactly.
We don't get anything fresh.
I think that we should have like a third party, like a like an established third party, not just a no-name party that always gets thrown on the ballot. But I think there should be an established third party, and it should be kind of like the people that are split right down the middle. So like that nobody's full left, full right. It should just be like, well, we're the deciding, like, which one of us is going to be the deciders.
I think they should just do away with like Congress and Senate and all that. I'm for like something like that, but I think they should do it kind of like jury duty. You know, like each citizen, you have to take so many from each state to represent and do a 1-year term, whatever, in there, and then make what, 40,000. You don't need to make $170,000 a year. They make $170,000 a year for life. Even if they just serve 1 term, they make that for life.
That's crazy.
It's like the president makes $450,000 for life, even after they're done. Served 1 term, $450,000 for life. Then they get free health insurance and all the other perks to
There's security, like
Yep,
that follows
yep.
them forever.
the Secret Service until they die.
I don't see a point of having Secret Service follow an old president.
Well,
What it,
He harbors secrets, so like if somebody would capture him, be able to get secrets out of him. So that would be the reason why he has it. But
I mean, like, I
I mean-
understand that, but, like, it's also a waste of my time and money that's going to protect some old person.
I also think
that-
he should do it like World War II pilots did and have just a cyanide tooth, crack it off if he gets abducted.
That ain't gonna happen. Let's get you going. I don't think like
Oh,
that.
yeah, that won't happen, but vapes that have not killed anybody are getting banned, and cigarettes who've killed millions are getting
Oh yeah, I
still
actually
going.
think that the ban came from cigarette companies. I feel like that they are the ones who pushed that really hard. They were like, listen,
Anybody
These
in
are
this
bad.
country whose money is getting jeopardized, even if it's 50 cents, will do anything in their power to stop anything.
I'm all for them giving the president or ex-president Secret Service. It's not necessarily I respect the man, but I respect the office. Just like people in England, respect the Queen, whatever. Like I said, I respect the office. I'm all for giving them Secret Service for life. The Congress, Senate, no, you don't need that for life. They should be making like $35,000 a year, as far as I'm concerned.
I also don't think they should be getting after-term money. I think once you leave that job, because even if you're only in there for 1 term, like, what did you honestly do? That's like
Nothing.
someone going into the military for 4 years. You don't really do much. You're kind of still in the learning phase. But if you get out, like, I don't have benefits for the rest of my life. And, like, why does somebody sitting behind a desk who, like, helped run the country get all that money for the rest of their life?
I know, and it seems like every time you check in on them, they're on vacation somewhere. I mean, they're always on what, recess is what they call it.
or if you look back to Obama, even while he's doing it, like 90% of his time was spent on a golf course.
On vacations.
Well, and see, here's another thing that while I was in the military that kind of pissed me off is that when the government shuts down, we don't get paid, or we didn't get paid.
But
so,
everybody
like,
else gets paid.
Yeah, so we had multiple talks all the time whenever the government shut down about how to use your money wisely. Hey, be careful, guys. The government's shutting down for 2 weeks. You won't be receiving your paychecks or whatever. So, like, they made it this huge, big, like, ordeal. But, like, yes, the banks did help us out, and they would pay us in advance sometimes. But it's the fact that the Senate and the House and the President were still getting paid, but the military wasn't.
Oh yeah, I think if they shut down their government, they should not be paid either.
No
Like,
I
government.
agree with that.
If the government's shutting down, nothing government affiliated should be paid.
I think if you have to shut down the government, you should all be fired. You should figure out. It's all because they can't
Yeah.
agree with each other on different things.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes, boom, fire every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. If
That's
you
why
have
you're
to,
there, is to make decisions based on
Exactly.
debate.
Yeah, and if you have to shut down a legal job because you guys can't agree on something, anywhere else in the world, if you don't agree with your manager, you get fired.
Yeah, if we're in
Exactly.
a hospital and we're just like, no, I don't want to treat this patient, that would be abandoning your patient, and you would be fired for that.
But they're abandoning their country for 2 weeks at a time when they shut down the country, or the government, I mean. But they still keep their job and their lifelong benefits.
Mhm.
Sounds kind of
It's
sneezy.
a little crazy.
What do y'all think about Hillary running now? It seems like everybody's having these heart attacks, and now Hillary's said she's going to run for
Bro,
president.
is she still running for president? She needs to give up. This is like your third time, and you're not gonna win.
Well, they're trying to impeach Trump now, and she's trying to get in there.
She's
because,
still not gonna win. The Republicans literally pick up a trash can, and people will vote for it more.
I don't know.
That's the
I don't
whole
know.
reason Donald Trump beat her. People thought it was a joke at first, and then they realized like how shitty Hillary is. Yeah, like let's talk about some controversial stuff about her, like Benghazi, for example.
How about all the people that have been killed that follow them? That
Oh
the
yeah,
Clinton
everybody who
murders
has
and
ever wronged them is
exactly
just dead.
dead.
Yeah.
They committed suicide.
I was watching a deal when Bill was governor in Arkansas, and him and Hillary bought a bunch of land, and they were selling it to people in like these parcels. And part of the mortgage agreement was that they had they bought it for a certain price. Then if they missed if they were even like late on one payment, the Clintons got to take the land over no matter how much it was. And that happened. So many people lost their land and stuff for that.
That's crazy.
It was a very bad deal.
I mean, who was that guy that just died in prison? Died.
Epstein.
Yep.
I guarantee if he would have set the first name on his list, would have been one of the Clintons.
Well, of course, everybody knows it, and nobody's talking about it anymore. The media just erased
it's
it like
dead.
it never
It's
happened.
gone.
It just shows you the media only shows them what they want to.
What are we watching now on the news? Some kids who are trying to sue the government or something.
Oh yeah, Undenberger or whatever it is, that little Polish girl.
Is she the one that was giving that speech
Yeah,
in
what was
front
that?
of the UN?
I
or
didn't
whatever
really
it was?
read into that. What was that about?
I didn't read into it.
So she fights for climate change, and she's just an activist. And she went and fought with them, and then when she was like pretty much made fun of for her views, the Republicans or the Democrats were like, "You're making fun of a child for her views," and they just attacked the shit out of Republicans. So it was weird because then you're arguing with a child, which honestly knows nothing, and then all of her ideas that she would come up with weren't feasible. There's another guy. He actually believes in climate change, and he's like 23, and he's a scientist, and he's made a bunch of advances in cleaning up the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we should be looking at him. Does the media cover him? No. They just want to look at a little girl cry and then be like, well, look, the Republicans are bad because they're making fun of her.
It's because of two reasons. One, it's entertainment. It's because the media knows that they're going to get a bunch of views out of this by watching a little girl scream about something that she probably honestly doesn't know too much about. Like, I personally don't know a lot about climate change. I know it's out there, but, like, I don't know. And two, with this whole Republican thing going on with Trump, it's just Democrats are just anything that they can use, they're just going to eat up right now.
I was watching it the other day. It was about when the new congressmen get in. It's like, as soon as you go into the Congress, they separate them from Democrat and Republican. You go to two different areas. And when you first go into the area, they say, all right, now if a bill comes up and say we're on the Democrat side, and if a bill comes up Republican, even if you like it, you got to go with your party, because we don't want to be getting anything that they're trying to pass, because we want to stay against them. We want to create this conflict, this artificial conflict, which is total BS.
I think that they should just say one thing, be like, hey, I have this bill to propose. They don't say who it's from. They don't say if it's Republican or Democrat. And they all just have like a little tablet. They're like A or B. And they just hit it. You have 30 seconds to respond. That's your answer. And whatever the outcome is, that's the outcome. I think that's how it should be.
Well,
like, there shouldn't be any outside forms that are like, hey, we want you to vote for this.
That's
or,
lobbyists. That's what we were talking about, the conspiracy theory video was the lobbyists in there. That's why I think they should be outlawed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nothing but a cancer to our society.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good comes out of them.
Well, I think another thing that's kind of BS to the voting system, while we're on that, is, you have these people who are supposed to represent, like, the state. Like, so many people vote for the state. Like, say Oklahoma voted Republican. Then we have people who are Republican candidates or whatever go vote for the Republican, like, version of the president. Well, they don't have to vote Republican. They can vote Democrat if they want. And I think that's completely fucking stupid. Because what's the point of me voting for a Republican candidate to go vote if they can change their mind at the last second?
Well, I'm not saying all Democrat ideas are stupid. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying all Republican ideas are stupid.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying it. But if I'm voting for you to go represent a certain, like, side, you should have to stick to that side. You shouldn't be allowed to change your mind.
That's why a lot of people think that their vote doesn't matter.
That's because of the Electoral College. They think their vote doesn't matter because of the Electoral College, and they want the popular vote to win.
Yeah. So the way I've thought about it is like instead of looking at who your president elections are, you have to look at who's going to be your representatives. So like you have to go through your own state, look at who's running, and you have to follow them very closely to see if they match you up, because that's who you should be voting for. That's when your vote does matter on who you're who's representing you, and that's the person who's going to go to bat for you.
I am personally still a registered Democrat. I'm very sorry to say. Only because I changed mine. I was independent. I don't know if y'all remember who Ross Perot was and all that, but I changed mine to Ross Perot when he was in because I was going to vote for him. But Obama, his first term, when he was running for president, he put out these videos and made him seem like this real down to earth guy with him and Michelle. Do y'all remember all these? They were like going to get ice cream.
Vaguely.
Yeah. And he just seemed like it had nothing to do with black or white. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're green. Whatever. If I think you'll be a good candidate, so I'm going to vote for it. But so I went and changed my deal to Democrat, and I voted for him, and I thought the guy just did a horrible job. I mean, I couldn't have been more unhappy with the president than I was with Obama. Like I said, it has nothing to do with him being black or white. I just thought he did a piss poor job.
I mean, he ruined medical.
Yes,
like,
the whole Obamacare deal was a total disaster. Oh my God.
Complete trash.
Yes.
Gave weapons to overseas people. Like,
I'm sure a lot of presidents have done that. You just heard about Obama's.
yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure Trump's doing it, but I'm just roasting Obama right now.
Yeah. You ever seen that movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage about how the United States is one of the biggest gun dealers in the world and all that? I believe it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It would make sense. I mean, we mass produce a lot of guns, and we have the access to ship them out.
Do y'all think the government should be allowed to do like black deals and all that? I don't know how else to say it. I'm not saying a color out there. I'm just, just to where
Like
people
under
don't
the
know
table?
it. Yeah,
You mean,
exactly.
You mean black market deals?
Yes, exactly.
No.
Why not? You don't think the government should do anything that we don't know about?
I mean, they're already doing that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, do you think it's okay?
No, I mean, unless you're informing the people of it, no. Because the whole point of the government is to run for your society and your country. You're supposed to keep your citizens informed of everything that you're doing. Is it happening? Yes, it's definitely happening. There's a bunch of black market deals going on throughout the government. But if you inform your citizens of what you're doing, you're being a proper government. Whether you're doing something bad or good, if you're informing them and keeping them up to date, that's fine.
So where do you think the $13,000 for a hammer is going and all that? It's going into those funds.
Oh, yeah. I know.
But how would we develop stealth technology? Let's just bring that up. How would we develop that if everybody knew about it? Everybody would have stealth technology.
Everyone probably does. They're just hiding it.
I don't know about that.
My theory on like why we would give guns to another country would be like, let's say we were fighting Iran and there's a militia there who does not like those people. So then you give guns to that militia so they can fight for you kind of under the table. They're not our soldiers dying, but they're using our weapons.
Well, of course, you're trying to overthrow a regime change.
if
Yeah,
they
and then
take
we
them-
come in
if
at the
they-
last second and kill everybody and
Like
take
if
their
they
land.
take them down, yeah. I mean,
Who do you think's giving them the bullets and everything? Even if the U.S. is giving them the guns and bullets, we're still paying these people to make the guns,
That's true.
which are Americans. We're still paying them to make the bullets, the bombs, everything else to go over there and give it to them. I mean, it's benefiting us. War is good for the economy. I know people don't like to hear that, but it is the God-honest truth. Good for the economy, creates jobs, creates revenue. I mean, that's just how it is. It's bad for soldiers. I was a soldier. I am totally against a politician sending us to war.
yeah.
It should be a vote of the army or whatever to say, hey, who's got the balls to be in here and do this? Y'all vote. Do you think this is worth going to kill each other about?
That makes sense.
There
Like,
shouldn't be any politician who's never served. You should definitely have to have served in the army, or not just the army, a branch of service, a real branch of service, to be president for one thing.
oh yeah, like when
Yeah.
we went into Iraq and was like, they have nuclear weapons over there, which really was just a ploy to go get their oil.
Have you seen that Chappelle show skit about the Black Bush?
Huh.
Oh my God, it's like the funniest thing ever about where he's like keeps dodging the questions about how he's going over there for oil and he knocks over the water and they run out. Oh, David Chappelle is hilarious. It's like the funniest comedian ever. His old stuff's a lot better than his new stuff is, but
I'll have to look it up.
God, it's hilarious. That guy like almost peed my pants. I was laughing so hard. This guy is so funny.
I mean, it's crazy what our government does, but I mean, I honestly think that they have our best interest in mind. I think that from an economical point of view, it does make sense to export things out, but certain things, I don't feel like we should be giving other countries things that we don't even get.
Speaking of exporting, what do you think about the whole China and the trade war that's going on with them, especially with like the soybean farmers?
Bro, my 4
I
years
actually haven't
of
heard
being
anything
in the
about it.
Navy was just nonstop bullshit with China and their overseas trading and all that shit. I can't tell you how many hours I spent out in the South China Sea chasing down bullshit ass China ships, watching them trade goods back and forth with like Korean ships, Vietnamese ships, and everything, just illegally trading it.
Well, of course. You don't think we're illegally trading stuff?
Well, no, and I know,
Another
but I'm just
question
saying,
I have
like,
is why would it be illegal trade? Why can't I just go do whatever the fuck I want to, and then you just don't have a say in it?
The UN decided a long time ago that there was laws over the oceans and the sky that if you're trading with another country, that there needs to be a tax on it,
Yeah, I know. I
so
think
that
that's
the
dumb.
UN can get money.
But where
from
does that?
it.
I mean, that goes to the UN, but like, why? Like, where does that? What does that money cover? That you know how many goods are sold between countries?
That money
That's
goes to Trump's
millions
pocket.
and millions of dollars. It's the UN. It's the United Nations. There's thousands of countries there. Where does that money go?
And yeah, and that brings up kind of a good point. Like, if they have all this money,
I said
why
thousands,
is like
hundreds of countries?
why is like United States and Europe like one of the most highest like countries, but then we got countries like Vietnam and Thailand and stuff that are literally living in the dirt. But the UN has all this money from all these tradings and taxes that are just going on constantly around the world. But we still have countries living in mud huts.
You know, the United States is like the major contributor to the UN. We pay like 80% of the dues or something of the whole of every country in there. We pay like 80%.
And you know where that money comes from?
From our taxpayers.
Black market trades.
Well, it was
Through
the
stealth
tax papers.
technology.
Didn't Trump try to get out of the UN? Didn't he actually pull
Yeah,
out
he
of the
He
UN?
told them they needed to start upping their pay. Is what it was. He
Well,
told
otherwise the
everybody
United
to start.
States was going to pull out because
Yes.
we were literally... If the United States pulled out of the UN would go to shit.
It would. It would fall apart. They
We
couldn't
are the
finance it.
UN.
Yes.
It should be UNSA because that's what we fucking are.
We're the policemen of the world, and that's what the bullshit is. I don't like being a policeman of the world.
No, let's just pull back all of our fucking people to our country and just border up the United States. Like, if we had all of our naval ships in the waters around us, nothing would get through.
And then we've got land borders with Canada, which is like the most peaceful
Are
country
you
in the
kidding
world.
me? They have satellites with nuclear missiles on them in space, everything. Something can get through. If you want to kill somebody bad enough,
Oh, no, I'm not saying
if you're
that.
willing to die to do it, you can accomplish that. I promise you.
That's
I'm
true,
just saying if
but-
we strengthened our own country, because I feel like we have enough inner wars going on. Like, we have our government fighting, we have people fighting with Mexicans, like, trying to cross the border, we have race wars going on all the time.
I think if we pulled back our military for like 10 years, just 10 years in the U.S., building up schools, building up colleges, you could do college for free because all that would already be built from all the money we saved from war times.
You know,
If we pulled everything back for just like minimum 10 years, it would just build our economy up so much. We would have so many extra resources here in America that we would be able to then go do whatever we wanted.
and you know,
It's like a savings account.
like two things. One, we could actually repair our equipment properly because I can't tell you how many times my ship was getting worked on by Japanese contractors, which I give it to them. They're really good contractors, but they don't do the kind of work on American ships that needs to be done. Like, because our mechanics are different. Like, they built an engine for us and the engine cracked almost instantly because they did something wrong with the measurements. But it's just like we could have actual repairs on our equipment. And think about it. If we pulled our army out of Iraq and Afghanistan and put them on the borders like Trump wants to do and build this wall that's been talked about for 4 years, you know how many illegals we would stop if we had the entire United States Army standing there?
I agree. I'm all for, like, whenever you graduate high school, you have to do 2 years mandatory active duty, no matter what. This 2 years. That's like they do in Israel, whatever. Forget a draft, forget whatever. 2 years mandatory, male and female. Don't just bring the males into it. Everybody wants to talk about gender equality and all that, yet females aren't included in the draft. Male and female, just everybody 2 years active duty, no matter what, no matter how much money you got, no matter how poor you are. And, that would solve a lot of problems.
Or just accelerate our school program, and then like juniors and seniors, that's what they do. That's their junior and senior year. That way they're still under their parents' roof, under everything, but they're still contributing.
No. You need to get out on your own and feel what the world has to offer you, because it can really bite you in the ass.
But
you need to learn that mommy and daddy ain't always going to be there, and you got to pop the tit out of your mouth sometimes.
Well, I know, but could you imagine just going like straight out of high school? Like where would?
Yes.
I went straight out of
I did it.
I do.
I did it.
I understand.
So it's required from everybody, but who's paying for those people's paycheck?
What do you mean paying for? We pay for their paycheck.
I know, but you're required. Like if every single person was a military personnel, you would have to pay for them. Like,
yes.
I don't understand.
You don't think we could afford that?
No.
Why not?
Because it's
jobs going somewhere.
I know, but even with our military now, we still spend what percentage of our budget is on just military alone? Isn't it like 30% or something like that?
Well, they can up it. You can make other jobs in the military. You can make a road cleaning crew out of the military. You can do this. You can do that.
That's true.
There are people there that play basketball.
Yeah.
And we pay for them.
I wish that there would be a system like that to where you had to do 2 years of like a communal service. Like you have to go do road building. Like give people character because you're making
instead
them
of
work.
the military, you're mandatory 2 years of a government job where you're doing something that helps
benefits
society
your country.
And or your country. So either you are in the military, or you're picking up trash on the side of the road, or you're working at a school being a government teacher or something, or you're working on government equipment. I could see that. I could get along with that.
I also feel like hard labor should be kind of required from everybody. Like unless you have a disability or something. I think hard labor should be required. That way we can get people back with their grit. I feel like we need to build up our country again. We're just building a country of pussies at the moment.
I don't agree with that at all.
Really?
No. I mean, it was some people, yeah, I mean, but what if I have like this Mensa kid that is like born to be a scientist? Why would I want him out there busting rocks and gravel, whatever?
For like a year?
And who cares? He's wasting his talent. You got a guy. It'd be like putting LeBron James playing checkers. I mean, it doesn't make sense. A guy was born to play basketball.
That's true. But you think if you have this guy who's super smart and then he goes into a job setting to where like the average person would work, let's say he works construction, wouldn't that really super smart guy have an idea to maybe speed up the process of that one little area?
I mean, it's...
Yeah, but just because he has an idea doesn't mean it's actually going to go into effect or anything.
I'm just saying, you're born with a God-given gift. Put it to use for him. What if he invented a cure for cancer while he was busting rocks,
That's true.
It's just a waste of someone's talent.
But, I mean, that was the same thing with going into the military. Wouldn't that be... like?
No, everybody needs to serve.
Well, I mean, but like everybody needs to serve, but you would be taking away that kid's time again.
No, we would be using him for our government, using his talents for our government. You have to take tests and stuff when you go in the Army, and they try to place you in things depending on what your ASVAB score is. Okay. Have you ever seen Starship Troopers, where whatever Doogie Howser, I forgot his real name, Neil Patrick Harris, he comes out of there, and they're like, oh, what'd you get? And he goes, I got, whatever the scientist deal, and he goes off and does his thing, and he's a scientist, and whatever gets infantry, and she gets a pilot.
You can be a scientist or a doctor in the military. The military is pretty much just like a country of its own. Yes. Essentially, they have every job that there is out here in the normal world in there. It's just way smaller knit because a lot of people can't get past the medical, which blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, they used to do where if you were flat-footed, you couldn't do it. If you have an asthma, you couldn't do it. And you have to take any meds to sustain your life, like thyroid medicine or something like that. You can't join. I don't know if they still do that or not.
I don't know. I know they were just getting, when I was in, they were going over the whole transgender thing. That was a big talk. Whenever I was making rank, it was, how does transgender people in the military, how does that play and be allowed? And I was like, honestly, I don't care. If they want to serve, let them serve.
My only thing with doing like cross gender, it would be you have to be able to lift the same thing as everybody else. That's all I require. Yeah. You have to be able to be physically fit just like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have my own opinion. Like, if you switch genders, you will be upheld to that new gender, which means you will like be required physically to do everything that, you know, you pretty much said it.
Okay, this is a question just because I don't know, but like for females to get into the military, do they have to do less? Like, is it less push-ups?
Yes.
Is it less pull? Like, I think that's wrong. I think they should have to do the same thing as a man. Like, I think that they should have to be able, because if I get downed in war and I've got Dylan by my side, or I've got a 50-pound, like 5'0" girl who just has a lot of gumption, like nothing dogging her, but she can't pull me out of that.
When I was in, this could have changed, so don't, shoot arrows in me. When I was in, women weren't allowed in, I was combat arms, where we were artillery. Women weren't allowed in our unit. It was all men. Now, there were women allowed in the mechanic unit that followed us, that was attached to us, but there was a girl in there. She won the Tough Woman contest like a month after she had a baby. And she could have literally raped you. I mean, she was bad. Yeah, you didn't want to mess with her, but I mean,
that's cool and all for one person out of the majority of women in the
military. Exactly.
But the only thing behind that is that genetically women aren't able to do a lot what men are genetically, like down to the very basic. And I'm not saying that, so don't come hopping on me later saying that.
You're saying the average male against the average female,
yes.
The male's going to win.
Yes, and a very plain, yeah. But
I know, but if you want to be a part of the military, I think it is a work thing, and I feel like women can get to the point.
But he was right, a long time ago, and even today, a lot of jobs are still not available to most females. I think just recently they just opened up women to spec war in a lot of branches.
There was those two girls that graduated Ranger School.
Yeah, and they were, so
somebody you don't want to mess with. I don't know if they changed the rules to where they had to do the guy standards or there's girl standards, but I think it would be stupid if they made girl standards.
A lot of talk when I was in the Navy was over being the Navy SEAL and Navy SWCC program, and they are allowing women now in. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong still, but they are still held up to the standard. So you have to pass the entry test that a normal male would have to pass, which is...
Yeah, I think it should be the same across the board.
It's 90 push-ups, 90 sit-ups, 15 pull-ups, 9-minute run, 9-minute swim.
Is that for everybody or just a spec?
That's just to get into the SEAL contract.
Oh, see, I think that should be fair.
That's a SEAL contract. See, SWCC has their own, Air Rescue has their own, EOD has their own. I mean, they're roughly the same, but the times and the amount are varied.
When I was in EOD, was a 52-week AIT. That's like a year for AIT for EODs. Forever.
So is there a portion to where you actually have to lift weights or anything, or is it all your own body mass? So you said running, swimming, setups, pull-ups.
So what do you mean?
When you're in MEPS, you have to be able to lift. So it's 40 pounds.
Okay. So my thought was for me, it's a lot harder to do a push-up.
No, it's
for
universal.
250 pounds.
No, it's universal across the board.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I have to have a lot more force to do my push-ups than a smaller person would, but we're doing our own body weight.
Yeah, no, it's universal across the board, and that's just the entry test to try to get a contract. And once you get a contract and you go to pre-buds for me when I was in, and that's pretty much intro to what's out in California. So you go to Chicago for 2 months and you pretty much are getting paid to work out. They have these professional coaches from around the world who the government's paying for to train you to become a SEAL. And you pretty much run and swim every single day. You lift weights, you rope climb, you do buddy system stuff. And then you get out to Coronado, and I didn't make it too far in the program, so I'm not too sure on everything, but that's a completely different animal.
I think a lot of it would have to be mental. I mean,
it is 100%. If you can pass pre-buds, they told us this. If you can pass pre-buds, which is just basic working out, you are physically capable of doing buds. It's when you are soaking wet, you're tired, you haven't eaten in a day, you haven't slept in 3 days, your body hurts, you have cuts everywhere. So if you see a lot of people who get out of buds, you'll see scars above their wrists and above their feet, and like around their groin area. You'll see scars
So
because
from sitting in the ocean.
well, no, it's just
from
like
sand.
sand gets here, and you hold the log, and it rubs raw here, and then here they have bald spots from the ribs hitting them in the head, and then they have tears here from sand, and they have tears there from flippers grinding their feet away.
Could understand, man, but I want them to have them. I want there to bad motherfuckers, protecting us.
Oh yeah.
And God bless them because I couldn't do it. There's no way I could have made it through any ranger school or whatever. I wouldn't even want to try.
Oh man, I should have went farther.
Like I said, I was always a max and minimum kind of person, but I'm glad there's people like that. God bless you.
Bro, I fucking love that training. It was so nice. It was so different because everyone else in the Navy had like blue uniforms that are most updated. I got to wear Woodland Type 2s. So like everyone knew who you were and like they knew that you were trying to be something great. Something that they don't tell you though, the Navy is one of the most like talk behind your back kind of bullshit branches ever because everyone in the Navy who's not part of that program talks shit on you so much and wants you to fail so badly.
They just want you to, like, they want to say, like, hey, that guy's a normal guy. That's all they want.
I know.
It's just like...
It's so fucking dumb because the world wants you to be a SEAL because we need that extra protection, but then the actual branch itself just wants you to fail.
Yeah, isn't it like there's only like 2,500 SEALs or something ever?
It's something really
Some
low.
real low number. Like, unbelievable. You got to be a special kind of person to do that. Like I said, I could have never done it. So, did you like grow up knowing you wanted to do something like that, or was it just a whim?
I hated the military growing up, 100%. Like,
yeah, both of his parents were in the military, and like I didn't even think he was gonna do it because he wasn't like. If he had plans, he would have done like ROTC and everything in high school. Nope, none of that. Just as soon as he got out, he didn't have a plan. It was like, oh, let's go military.
Yeah, so pretty much I talked to ROTC in 9th grade when I first went to high school, and I didn't really like it. So I was like, you know what, the military is probably not for me. I'm just going to get out. I'm going to do something. I don't know what I did. Pretty much pissed away my high school career because about my junior year, I realized how like retarded high school is and how pointless it is other than holding your diploma. So I kind of pissed my last few years away, so I didn't get any scholarships, which I'm totally cool with, but like... So then I realized I probably need to go in the military because I need money, I need college. And I talked to my dad, and my dad was a chief in the Navy for 20 years. And he told me Air Force or Navy. And I told him I wanted to go spec war because if I'm going to put my life on the line, I wanted to do the cool job. Like if I was going to die for my country, I wanted to be the guy like deep in enemy territory. You know, I did something that mattered, not somebody sitting on a ship, which I ended up doing anyways. But...
Me and my son were having this conversation the other day. He told me he was thinking about joining, and he wanted to join the Army, and I told him no. I was like, I'll support you no matter what you do, but if you're going to join the Air Force.
I have this topic with everybody. Nobody seems to understand that the Air Force is the only decent branch out there.
Yes.
Like everyone, it's like the world, what is that saying I'm looking for? It's like the grass is...
greener on the other side?
No, it's like... I could tell you that stove is hot, and you can see that it's red hot, but you'll never truly know if it's
shame
hot
on you, fool me twice,
until you touch it. That's the world with the military. Like, I can tell them that red hot stove is the Army, Navy, and the Marines, and how stupid it is to touch it, but they still just want to touch it. Instead of just walking away and going to the Air Force, they want to touch that stove. And then they get in, and they're like, dude, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me this was shitty? And I'm like...
Yeah, but that's what I sound. It's like, you go in the Air Force, you can get a job that will carry over to civilian life. Then Tinker Air Force Base is biased, and there's a lot of civilians that work there. And I was like, you don't even have to go to college. You could have a job. You can get right out.
The Air Force is amazing.
Yeah,
they have the nicest bases,
Exactly.
the largest bases. The people are nicer in the Air Force. Every Air Force person I've talked to is nice. The living conditions are nice. Like, their barracks are pretty much hotels,
rooms. Yes.
Like, I remember the Marines living in tents. The Army, probably in tents. The Navy, you live on a metal trash can with beds that are...
With a rack the size of this table.
Yeah. This is your bed. About the same hardness, too.
Yeah, then I was telling him, I'll worry about you, if you have to go to war. If you're in the Air Force... I'm not saying Air Force people don't risk their life and everything, but you're going to be like on a ship if you're over there or somewhere doing something, where you're not going to be on front lines, basically.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the Air Force doesn't do stuff. The Air Force is a very big contributor to our military,
yes, they are.
And I'm very thankful for them.
Can we
But
talk
they're-
about Space Force for a second? I think I'm going to join Space Force.
Well, they started it for a reason.
I think it would be fun.
I think it's just a matter of time before they come out with
I-
the whole. They start telling people about aliens. Like it was like a year or two ago that the Pope come out. He didn't specifically say there were aliens, but he said if there were aliens, that doesn't mean there's not a God. And like that's the most anybody's ever done it. But that Prime Minister from Canada, a couple years ago, got in front of their Congress and was stating there were aliens. This was the Prime Minister from Canada. Yet the news doesn't want to hear you say that. Or they want to block it off, or they're not going to say a word
I'm
about it.
curious. I'll look at anything.
I'll totally put on my exosuit and jump up on the moon with a laser gun and just. Or what is that movie? I think you
Men in
already
Black?
said it. No,
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, where they go and fight these just random dumbass bugs, and then the brain bug like pierces their head or whatever.
I haven't seen it.
It's a dumb
You've never seen
fucking movie.
Starship Troopers?
Uh-uh.
Oh my goodness.
It's a
that was
dumb-
like a classic.
It's so shit.
Have y'all seen Bubble Boy?
Have not seen Bubble Boy.
Okay, that's a classic.
I've never even heard of Bubble Boy.
It's a weird one.
What do y'all think about the new Joker movie?
We
Coming
went
out.
and saw it. We loved it.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I was fixing
it
to
was
say,
great.
there's been so much controversy about people walking out of it, and everybody's
Bro,
afraid.
If
It
you
was
walk out of
such
that
a-
fucking movie, you are a pussy. There was not that bad of a movie at all. It
It was
didn't even
awesome.
dive into mental health as much as they were making it seem.
Yeah.
It's just a typical movie.
I thought, from the previews, and I haven't seen it, but I saw the previews. I've seen a lot of previews of it, and like it looked like he did a very good job.
I will
acting.
say it's a very gory movie
Mhm.
for a lot of people, but it was wonderful. Like,
Yeah.
hands down, it was
And-
probably going to get Picture of the Year.
The best DC movie I've ever seen.
And I'm not a big Joaquin Phoenix fan,
Dude,
but
he did great.
Yeah,
he
I
lost
should
50
say,
pounds
yeah.
for that role.
it looked like he did a good job.
He portrayed a crazy person.
It was a
very
good
well.
movie. It was well rounded. I think they touched on a lot of subjects that were great. It made me very feel like I was in there at some points because there were some points where I did feel uncomfortable. But I'm not gonna pay and then get up and leave a movie like.
Oh yeah, if it makes me feel uncomfortable, the movie's done a good job.
Yeah, if I am
I am
feeling
feeling
some
it.
sort of emotion, it's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yep, it looked good. I think that's going to do it for this one, y'all. Thanks for watching. Sorry about not posting last week. But anyway, follow us on our social media. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support. Bye.